Get ready for some great music and great stories. Band in Seattle starts right now. Welcome to Band in Seattle. I'm XANDER, DENKE, and with me is Sean DeTore, associate producer and host of the mixtape on MyNorthwest.com and Cairo Radio, to talk about tonight's band, Fauna Shade.
Fauna Shade are great. With swampy garage rock and dirty vibrato, Fauna Shade have made a space all their own within the local music scene. Hailing from Everett, Washington, and taking second place in the EMP Sound Off Battle 2014, Fauna Shade lays down tracks that will forge their way into your brain and refuse to get out. While there are hints of early Modest Mouse and Wolf Parade, the band's youth keeps their ideas fresh and definitely free of pretension.
We'll be right back with more from Fauna Shade.
Hi, my name's Scotty Smith. I play guitar and sing in Fauna Shade. We're here in Everett, Washington. This is my dog, Fudgy. We're going to talk for a bit. Marzipan, I don't interact with the opposite gender too much. I live a life, much like you're seeing here, instruments, dog, room. But there was one girl that I hung out with for like 2 times, and she was very nice to me, so I don't see a lot of females, so when I hang out with them, they leave a big impression on me. I'm very impressionable in that aspect. But she said I smelled like marzipan, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but it's a very nice word. So that whole song is structured around, like the 2 times I hung out with that girl, the impression it left on me, and that she said that I smelled like something called marzipan.
So leave your light going out and shine on the sea to keep them company, 'cause your warm city's good. We flash innocence, we'll stay out there in the night. What we had was not
In this setting, eye contact is fine. I'm a normal person, but on stage when I'm like, you know, having a good time and jumping around, when you make eye contact with somebody, it really pulls me out of the moment because I'm like, these people are viewing me doing something strange in front of a large group. So the more I can not make eye contact, the better for me. Because if I'm standing in the audience at another person's show and they look at me, I feel really special. I'm like, well, this person's playing music, but right now they're looking at me. And that's weird to be on the other side of that. Be like, does this person feel special if I look at them? Sanctions. Throughout some classes in high school, there was a blind girl in one of my classes, and I'd watch people who were normally quite rude in attitude in the way they approach people. They would be more polite, and you know, kind of like stand up straight and do what was right around this girl. That's where the inspiration for this song came from. I guess nowadays it's more just a fun song to play. There's some cool parts in it. Richie's done some really cool stuff on the toms that really thicken stuff up, and he matches up right when the bass guitar comes in. Derek's got some like swoops I'm playing the kind of lead melody that goes throughout it, and then Richie comes in with these huge toms, and then it just like blows up at a point.
That's like the one that we feel like we get a lot of energy back from the crowd with, just because maybe it's because it has like more of a build-up. It starts with the drums and the guitar and then the bass, and then it all comes together.
I feel like that's the song people start moving to when they watch our set.
But yeah, Sanctions of the Blind, to feel what you find. Nirvana hit me in the 6th grade. My mother bought the best of Nirvana, and she put that on in the car, and it changed my whole world from there on out. That's why you're sitting here now, that's why I'm sitting here now, because she bought that CD. 6th grade through freshman in high school, and then lingering throughout high school, Kurt Cobain and Nirvana was my life. It took me to punk rock guitar tones and some solidarity. I saw that in Kurt Cobain, that he wasn't out just mingling a lot, and I spent a lot of time alone, found a couple good friends that liked music, and we learned music together, and we just walk around Everett and talk about music. It was a beautiful time growing up, and Everett housed that perfectly. There wasn't a lot to sway your attention, it was just you in a pretty empty city.
Hey, I'm Richie. I play drums in Fauna Shade, and on my free time, when I'm not hanging with the boys, I'm at the skate park. Fauna Shade gets the label psych rock or psychedelic rock pretty often, though I don't really agree with it. I don't think we're a psychedelic rock and roll band. I consider us more of a experimental rock and roll band. We all have interests in colorful sounding music and different tones and effects.
So get away to love. So get away to love. Get away to love.
So Richie, when I worked at Everett Community College bookstore, and he'd come in and buy Cliff Bars. He's just got this cool thing about him. And I'm like, this guy's literally too cool for school. And he'd just be like, thanks, dude. And I'd be like, okay, I don't know who this character is. Before he had joined the band, there was an older lineup. We had played with Kithkin, and we went to an after party at their house. And Richie was there. And I'm like, that's that guy I was selling Cliff Bars to. And he kept bringing me beers, and I don't drink much. And I'm like, why is this cool guy keep bringing me beers? And like, I learned later on, he thought I was a neat dude, and that's why he's bringing me beers. And I was just totally thrown by it. But then there was a time where there was a lineup change, and we needed a new drummer, and we had heard Richie, and he tears it up, and we're like, what do you think? He's like, I dig Fauna Shade, I would be happy to, and we're happy to have him.
Yeah, so I started playing drums when I was like 14 probably, and I've played in a lot of different punk rock bands, math rock bands. I think with the drums I just connected more. I played guitar first, but I kind of sucked at it, so I think I got better at the drums. You know, it was more natural for me.
Deep shadows in which you stare. So now you're familiar with the killer.
was a cat that used to live here. He got the boot because he was known as Piss Kitty. He'd just urinate on everything. But I refer to him either as Meow Meow, or at night, he'd be Jane. Jane, Meow Meow, was like on a week spree of half-killing rodents. And I'd walk through the yard and I'd see this thing squirming, bloody, guts hanging out, and I'd look at him and I'm like, I can't hate you because this is your nature, but now I have to finish the job. I do not like the role of being the final executioner in something you started. I don't know, I feel kind of weird making a song about these animals that had to die. That's the thing I'm conflicted about in life now, is it's like, okay, people have noted me as this person that can absorb life and like spin it into song and melody. What are you gonna put into me? Could I like watch somebody get hit by a bus and then be like, oh, I need to write a song about this? Because that's really messed up. So yeah, Jane's about a cat half killing rodents.
Fauna Shade aren't just a down dirty rock band. They know how to not take themselves too seriously. Fun fact, if you want a perfect petting zoo pal, now that's some alliteration, Xander, singer-guitarist Scotty Smith is your man. He and I hit up a rando petting zoo down south, and in between heavy petting some goats and admiring some kangaroos, I got to know the genius behind Fauna Shade. And Xander, I'm pretty sure their next album is going to be called Petting Zoo Pals.
I'm going to pre-order it. We'll be right back with more from Fauna Shade.
For the song Delirium in particular, we were going into to Swoon Records to record it, and it was for Baton Rouge. The song Delirium wasn't finished. Scotty had a pretty solid backbone, and he had a bunch of ideas written on a whiteboard.
Literally, I wrote the bass line to that song on a Thursday, and then we were in there Friday to record it. So it was like we did not know how that was going to turn out. And I mean, I loved how the bass line turned out. I get a lot of compliments for that one, maybe because it's such a more mellow song, so the bass kind of sits on top a little bit. Johnston. I'm the bass player in Fauna Shade from Everett, and when I'm not doing that, I'm kicking it with my dog and hanging out in the sunshine.
So Derek, his wife, and I share a cousin. So we're close to family now.
We call him D-Rock. He's probably the coolest guy in the world. He's really goofy. He's just like a character out of a weird 90s cartoon.
Actually, the first instrument I ever had was a bass. My parents, I wanted to play guitar, but then someone kind of talked me into, you know, everybody plays guitar, why don't you try playing the bass? I just ended up kind of transitioning to guitar after I had the bass for a little while. I ended up going to my buddy's house and borrowing his guitar, and he taught me a few Beatles songs, and I didn't really start playing the bass again until a couple years ago, maybe like 3 years ago, when friends of mine would have bands and they needed a bass player.
band from Everett, what does that sound like? Because you don't get a lot of music coming out of Everett. Growing up here, you play like at a cafe and you'd see the same people. So going to Seattle, it still has the same feeling. It's like, this is where culture lives. It's like the epicenter for where music's at, and to be included in the Seattle scene as a band from Everett feels like a big gift. It was quick, like going from nobody from Everett to hanging around musicians that I looked up to. And I'm like, what's going on here? I'm now hanging around the people I idolize. It's still a weird thing. I'm getting more used to it, but I'm like, I'm always laughing in my head hanging around all these musicians. I'm like, what's going on? I'm used to hanging out in Everett with Fudgy. No nostalgia is like a future note to self. I realize all music is going on record, and someday when I'm 50, I'm gonna have to listen back to what I've made now, if I live that long. We'll see. And anytime I listen to that song, I gotta check back in. Is there gonna be nostalgia of this time? For about 2 years, I didn't have a job, and I was just getting nothing done. I have nothing to be inspired to write about, so I kind of folded it in on itself. Yeah, so anytime I listen to that song, I'm like, are you proud of what you're doing? But then it flops back to that, do I want to subject myself to relationships and world experiences that I then have to turn into music? What kind of girl wants to date a musician that they're going to be aware that they're going to end up writing songs about them? That's weird, right?
We work well as a band together. I think none of us are like very serious, but we are serious about things, we care. We're starting to work on a second full-length record. Don't know when it's going to be out. We'll see. We have some producers in mind we'd like to work with, but nothing solid. The band's definitely like wanting to go to the next level. We're also still willing to really experiment and carry a unique sound. I think that's what's most important, is to stay creative and remain like unique amongst, you know, a vast abyss of bands in Seattle.
Bazzle Shabazz. I wanted a song that had a feeling of Black Lips, a band I enjoy. They have an album called Arabia Mountain, and it's got this neat feel to it. And I just wanted something that had like a Middle Eastern quality to it, so we got Bazzle Shabazz. He has a palace. In that palace, I realized I wasn't happy. He came out of a dream, so it goes, last night I had a dream, which took place in this room. It wasn't a real dream. That song's just rock and roll as F.
Took me through, we went so far. We all ate pie, we all ate pie.
Scotty is really great. Like, he's not like the stereotypical like drama queen or anything like that. For being 23, like it kind of blows my mind because I'm 28. I just turned 29. That's like the age group that I hang out with. and I would have never guessed that he was that much younger than me. He just has like such a wise kind of feel about him.
Now you would know that the stars they go. Oh, how deserved your hands without size.
What I want to do is figure out who I want to connect with, because I look at the way Kurt Cobain touched me, and I saw him as bringing together dysfunctional people that were loners. Like, there's a lot of people out there who I would be if I weren't in this band, but now I look like a somebody. So they're like, whoa, this person's stalking me, and it's like, if I wasn't playing this music, I'd just be standing here with you guys with nobody to talk to.
It's Rollins. Thank you, everybody. So sad, so sad, so sad.
That's it for tonight's Band in Seattle. If you want to hear more, check us out on bandinseattle.com, where you can hear full concerts and find links for more information about our bands and where they're playing next. Sean?
Thanks, Xander. And to stay in touch with what's up in the local band scene, check out my program, The Mixtape. It's on mynorthwest.com and also Cairo Radio.
Check it out. Thanks for watching. Join us next week for more great music and great stories on Band in Seattle.